Hi, welcome. If your sales team works in Salesforce and your developers are in Azure DevOps, this is the video for you. What I'm going to show you is a live sync between ADO work items and Salesforce cases. Status, comments, attachments, and fields flowing both ways. Let's get into it. If you would like to test it, you can go to our web page here and get started to start a trial. So for this one, we'll be running through Getint SaaS or our on-premise option. You will land on a page like this if you're using on-premise or once you start a trial on our SaaS option. From here, you will select Create Integration, Continue Sync, and then we'll connect the apps. Let's start with this side where we will select Azure DevOps. In here, you will create a new connection and then go to Azure DevOps, copy the URL. Now you will go and click in here and go to personal access tokens. You will create a new token, give it a name, and of course the expiration time. I will just give it 1 year. And then you can go ahead and select the scopes. Our documentation shows exactly which scopes that you have to select, so I recommend that you go there and check. But I will give the full access for this demo. So let's create and copy this here. Let's go back to Getint, paste the URL that we just copied. And now you will give the very same email address that you are using on that access, and then pass the personal access token that will act like a password. Just add. We will select the connection that we have just created. And now we will select the project. I'll select this one and connect. Now my Azure is connected. Let's move on to Salesforce. Click in here, go to Salesforce, and then you will create a new connection. Now, Salesforce uses OAuth, so there are a few steps to do inside Salesforce before coming back to Getint. We recommend that you follow the steps on our documentation, so you have every little steps, the URL that you need there, all the steps to create a connection. I will use one of the connections that I already have in place, and then I will connect. Now we are ready to go. As you can see, both sides are connected and we'll start mapping the types. You have the option to either manually map them by clicking here and then selecting the types that you want for each side. So you can connect account, case, contact on Salesforce, bug, epic, feature, all these ones in Azure. I will choose the quick build. So the integration will try to map the minimal fields necessary for my integration to work properly. As you can see, it ran and mapped a task with case along with some fields already. Some of these fields are showing this alert because they are read-only and then they cannot be mapped to a read-only field. So we'll go ahead and delete them. And those are the ones that are necessary for this connection. You can add more field mappings here or choose the direction that you want those fields to flow to. But you can apply and then move on with the mapping. From this screen, I can click on the work item and then add more fields if I want them. So I can click there, go to the side, and then map which fields I want to map. So you have a few options in here. Then you can map and do the same to the other side and connect the fields. And this is the result after. Again, in here, you also can change the direction and then you can change how the field will behave. If you will add on create or an update, it will modify it that way. You can then enter this type of field here, priority, and map them one to one. As you can see, the tool already did that for me. So map it, this side is in numbers for Azure DevOps, but it did match with the sides that you have in the other side. If you have additional ones that are not mappable because they don't have a similar one on the other side, you can just add to more than one in here. So you can put like the one along with the two and then leave them like that. Now I'm happy with these fields. Let's move on to status. In here, you have status to status. The tool already mapped the similar ones, so we have new and closed, but let's go and map other ones that we may have. So we'll choose active with working, for example, and we can go removed. And similarly to what I did with priority, I can add to a second option here, right? So I can add in here, you will have two fields, two status flowing to one on the other side. From here, you can also play with the direction. If you don't want the data on this, on the status to move both ways, you can make them flow just to Salesforce or just to Azure DevOps if you want to. Now, I'm happy with this. This works for me. Let's move on to comments and attachments. In here, you will see that the tool already did as both ways, but you can also choose just one direction. You can filter based on certain attributes, so you can allow or exclude certain comments from these synchronizations. And you can also enable the attachments and then select if you want them to flow both ways or just one way. Now, everything is set up as I want to, and I will apply. One thing important to know before we move on is that under comments and attachments, the sync is on by default, but public and chatter comments from Salesforce don't automatically sync over. To get them to appear on the ADO side, you need to trigger an update on either Salesforce or ADO item. So after you set up everything, if you want the comment to appear, just adding the comment doesn't work to send over to the other side. You will have to modify something else, such as a status or any other field. Keep that in mind when you are setting up and when you are testing the tool. Now let's name our integration. And before we save, I want to show you that you can filter data if you don't want everything flowing both ways, not just by the direction, but based on some other fields. You can select the filtering options in here, and then you will have three options: all items filters, new items filters, or synced items filters. You can filter out by selecting one field. So for example, I can select tag from Azure DevOps, contains, and then async. So the items that will be synchronized or be part of the synchronization will only be the ones that have this tag or label. I can do the same on the Salesforce side. You can select the field and then the operator and then the value, and then the tool will only synchronize the items that match that criteria. I will leave as default just to make this thing simple for this demonstration, but you can play around for what fits your team. Now let's save this integration and go to the latest runs. And in here, in a few seconds, we will see the first run showing what happened. Now, as you can see, we have a run happening. We have the ID, the name of the integration, the mode that is synced, and when was the last time that you ran. The stats, we have nothing yet because we didn't change anything yet after the creation of the synchronization or this integration. So of course, Getint doesn't have anything to pull from the other side. The execution time in on-premise will be 1 minute, whereas on SaaS mode, you will have 180 seconds. This is important to note, so let's move on. Now, let's create something on ADO side or Salesforce side and see what happens next. To my project, and then to our dashboard. And then create a new work item. Let's create a task, which is what we mapped. Let's give it a name. The status will be new because we are just creating it. And then let's add a description. Now we can also add an attachment and we save. Now let's go back to Getint and see what happens. As you can see, while I was creating the ticket, we had another run, again with nothing being synchronized because there was no changes, but now we have a new run that should be capturing our item. And there we are. Again, you see the ID, the name of the integration, the mode, how long it took to synchronize, and the spaces between them. And now you will have something that was synchronized in here, along with the status, meaning that everything went well. Let's go and check the item itself. And here you have the number of the item or the ID of the item that triggered the synchronization, what was created on the other side, so the ID of a new item on the other side, the mode, which was on create, and then the execution time, so how long it took for this one item to synchronize. If I click on the item itself, you'll see a little summary of the fields included in synchronization along with a URL. The same on the item that was created, and we can use this URL to take us to the item itself. As you can see, you have the status, that's the new item, the name of the case, and the case number. And here you will have all the fields that you have for the case. Of course, you have the description as we created on the other side. Let's change something here. For example, we can change the status to working instead of new. This is mandatory for this one. So let's remember to fill out what is mandatory on Salesforce. As you can see, I changed the status. Now it's working. We can go ahead and check the attachments. As you can see, we also have an attachment that came through here, and we can also add a comment. Now, let's go back to Getint and see what happens. There we go. Sync already happened while we were finishing. So we'll see again the ID, the name of the integration, as well as the stats. If we go there, we will then see the item on Salesforce that triggered the synchronization, the item that it's synced with, and the mode now is update instead of create. If we click in here, again, we have all the information, all the fields, and then we can click in here. Let's go back to the ticket in ADO. And in here, you see that it changed the state. We added a comment and everything flows. As you can see, we now have both direction and flowing, no manual work, everything smoothly synchronized. That's the foundation. From here, you can go further, add custom field mappings, comment direction configuration, filters on either side to control exactly what flows. If you need the same setup across multiple projects, you can also duplicate the integration from workflows without starting from scratch. The car setup, a working bidirectional sync between Azure DevOps and Salesforce, takes just a few minutes. The complexity is totally optional. That's it. If this was useful, like the video, drop any questions in the comments, or submit a ticket to our support. We'll be super happy to assist you and pleasured to see you testing our tool. Subscribe if you want to see more connectors. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Summary of all the